You know, it was a week of agendas and plots. The week began with Jesus riding in on a colt and palm branches being waved. Everybody was shouting, "Hosanna, Hosanna." And then things took a pretty dire turn during the week. The Romans and the Jewish leaders who could agree on nothing, they agreed on this. Jesus was a problem, and that problem was going to have to be dealt with. What he said on that cross was interesting because really he hadn't uttered a lot. In fact, they kept asking him to defend himself in front of Pilate, and he wouldn't defend himself. They kept asking for him to speak up. He never spoke up. But he saved some words for the cross that have massive power for where we live today. And there he is on the center cross, stretched out. We know that they had his feet locked, nails in, his hands nailed, wrists nailed to the cross. And the criminal on his left and a criminal on his right begin a conversation with him. One of the criminals beside him scoffed, "So you are the Messiah, are you? Prove it by saving yourself and us too while you're at it." So we got criminal over here who goes, "Okay, Jesus, if you are who everybody says you are, show me. Step up and prove it. Save yourself and save me." I want to talk about this real quick. So, what did he want saved from? He wanted saving from death. I don't want to die. I want you to save me now. That's the intent of his question that he throws out, in really a statement he throws out to Jesus. So we got criminal A over here who says, "Jesus, I need your help now. Get me out of this predicament and get yourself out of it." But the other criminal that hung on the other side said, "Don't you fear God even when you have been sentenced to die? We deserve to die for our crimes, but this man, he's done nothing wrong," which is interesting because how did he know that? Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your" what? What does he say next? Kingdom. This guy wanted saved here. This guy was looking for hope here. Your friend, I want you to write down 2 words. Ready? First word I want you to write down is justice. So right over here on your left-hand margin over there, write the word justice, would you? Then on the other side, I want you to write the word grace, and you could put grace/mercy. All right, we could interchangeably use those words. We have justice over here, and we have grace over here. So let's write down a definition. Here's a little short Mike Lynch version definition of justice. Ready? It's getting what you deserve, right? Would you write that down? Getting what you deserve. Justice is when you get something that you deserve. These criminals on the cross were getting what they deserved. Why? Because they had committed crimes. Whatever they may have been. We don't have the litany. We don't have a TV show or a podcast. Crime Junkies doesn't have anything with these guys, all right? So we don't know how they ended up there. We just know they ended up there. 4 things we pick up from Jesus' conversation with this criminal on the cross. Number 1, I will face God's judgment after death. I'm going to face God's judgment. I love that this criminal B, I'll call him, he looks at his other friend or the guy that's hanging on the other side of Jesus, and he said, "Don't you fear God even when you've been sentenced to die?" You know what this guy understood? He understood that there's going to be a day we have to pay for who we are and what we've done. For those that don't know Christ, you'll be judged for not only how you lived out your life, but judged because you did life without his son. For those that do know Christ, your judgment will be how you use the gifts and abilities God gave you to be a blessing to those that you live around. Point number 2, I deserve death and separation from God because of my sin. I deserve death and separation from God because of my sin. Look at what the guy said. We deserve to die for our crimes. All right, let's step out of the story. Everybody look at me. And so do we. This much distance from God keeps a person out of heaven. This much. This much. And if you live the most perfect life you could because of the sin nature that you were born with, there is a gap between you and God. And there's nothing you can do. Point number 3, Jesus is more than a man. He is the sinless Son of God. He was more than just a guy. He was a man 100%. He was God 100%. And he lived a perfect, sinless life. When this guy uttered to this guy has done nothing wrong, he got it. He made Christ, who knew no sin, to be sin and to be the offering for my sin and your sin. He gave himself up for you so that we could be made right with God through Christ. These two criminals had two very different responses. But Jesus' response to this guy is powerful. Point number 4, my only hope is to receive the free gift of God through Jesus. That is my only hope. Do you know that when Jesus entered heaven, the criminal entered with him? Now that's a crazy story. When he entered heaven, the criminal entered too, and walked the same streets of gold that the perfect, sinless Son of God was going to walk. Do you know that it's possible to be close to the story, but to miss the story? This guy got it. This guy missed it. I don't want you to miss the story.